Hey, this is Mitch. Welcome back to the Life Stories channel. If you like the story you're about to hear, please hit the like button. If you enjoy a good humorous or inspirational story, please subscribe to the channel. And if you know somebody who enjoys a good humorous or inspirational story, please send them my way here at the Life Stories channel. So when I was a kid growing up, about 8 or 9 years old, I lived in a little town called Delavan, Wisconsin. Delavan's about 40 miles southwest of Milwaukee, Walworth County. We lived in a brand new neighborhood that was carved out of very mature woods. So lots of big oak trees around, and it was a great time living in that community because you could stomp around in the woods in the vacant lots where they hadn't built houses yet, and find all sorts of wild critters and whatnot. And so it was a good time when you were a kid growing up, 8 or 9 years old. One day, my dad took the whole family to Walworth, which is the county seat of Walworth County, where Delavan is located. He took us to a factory tour. Kikkoman had just opened up a factory in Walworth, Wisconsin. Happened to be one of the first Japanese venture into producing their products here in America. And my dad was interested in seeing how it ran, and it was brand new, and it was interesting something to do. Didn't cost anything, and so he took us to Walworth to the Kikkoman grand opening. Now the grand opening was just that. It was very grand. They had a big tent, and they were cooking food and had games out in the lawn and whatnot. It was very much of a company picnic type atmosphere at the plant, and so they were offering tours of the plant that started every hour or so, that they'd walk you through the plant. And about 2 o'clock or so, we lined up to go into the tour. Now, when we went into the building, it was nice and sunny and calm, and you could see a little bit of clouds on the horizon, but really wasn't anything, didn't look like it was going to be anything major. And so we're walking through the factory, and the tour is very interesting. Show us how they brew teriyaki sauce and brew soy sauce, and how they package it and whatnot. And it was all clean and brand new, and it was very, very, very impressive. But about halfway through the tour, we start hearing really loud noise against the roof and the side walls of the factory. It's a steel frame, tin covered building. So you can hear all the rain and the wind and whatnot pelting the building. We didn't really think that it was going to do that when we walked in, because it was so sunny and whatnot when we walked into the building. But sure enough, about halfway through the tour, you couldn't even hear the docent who was giving the tour speaking over the volume of the wind and the rain. And ultimately someone came running in and told us that we needed to get into the hallway by the offices, because the weather was getting so bad that they didn't want to take a chance at the roof coming off the building or whatnot, and they were afraid of tornadoes. And so they ushered us all into the hallway of the where the offices were, and we stood there, sat there hunkered down for 10-15 minutes. And once the noise stopped, we got up and we finished the tour. And we got done with the tour and we walked outside, and it was a totally different landscape. All the trees were laying on the ground, the tent was blown away, a couple of the cars had broken windows, there was about 2 inches of standing water in the yard. It was a totally different scene. It was like, you're not in Kansas anymore, or in this case, you're not in Walworth anymore, coming out of that factory. So we get done with the tour, we go get in the car, because there's obviously nothing else to do in the lot anymore. That all the attractions have blown away. So we get in the car and we go home, and on our way into the house, we drive to a place where there's a Y on the road, and we're taking a right, but on the left there's a big old oak tree just laid out across the road, completely blocking the road. And so we get to the house, and Dad, Mom, and my sister go in the house. My brother and I, we grab bow saws out of the garage, and we go walk up to this tree. It's like a couple of houses down from where we live. And we walk up to this tree, we start cutting the tree with the bow saws. trying to cut the branches off of it. Of course, we're not going to cut the big trunk or anything, but we're trying to help clear the road. We're cutting the branches off with the bow saws. And this old woman comes up in a car and she stops and she gets out of her car and she starts yelling at us, "Why did you kids cut that tree down?" And you can see on the side of the road a big root ball where the tree had fallen over from the storm. But she's out there yelling at us that we cut the tree down. Why are we cutting the tree down in the middle of the road? We're going to do damage and we're blocking people's way and yada yada yada. And just zero common sense. Apparently didn't notice the big root ball, and just decided that we had cut the tree down ourselves. So yes, an 8-year-old and a 9-year-old boy cut down this 2-foot around oak tree with our little 12-inch camping bow saws. Yeah, I admit it, we did it. So anyhow, that's my story. If you like the story, please give it a like. If you like to hear humorous or inspirational stories, please subscribe to the channel. If you know someone who enjoys a good humorous or inspirational story, please send them my way. Here at the Life Stories channel. Thanks for listening.